Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about complex number and I am going to teach you the four basic ideas how to solve any complex number problem in SAT math test. At first, let's begin by introduction about what is complex number. A complex number is a combination of real number and imaginary number, and it can be written in this form: a plus bi, where a represents the real part and bi represent the imaginary part. You must always remember that a and b are two integers, and I is the unit of the imaginary number, like 1 for real numbers, and I equal root square of negative 1. Here are some examples for complex numbers. For example, 5 plus 2i is a complex number, and 17 minus 7i is a complex number. Now let's talk about the four ideas of problems of complex number. The first idea is how to add and subtract complex number. The second idea is how to multiply and divide complex number. The third idea is how to solve negative square root problems. The fourth idea is how to solve exponent problems of I. In the following slides, we are going to explain each one and give some examples. Now let's start by how to add or subtract any complex number. How we do this? We are going to add or subtract each part separately. For example, we are going to add the real number with real number and the imaginary number with imaginary number. Let's take an example. If we want to add these two numbers, 5 plus 2i plus 4i plus 8i, what we'll do now, we add the real number with real number. We'll add 5 with 4, we'll get 9. And we'll add the imaginary number with imaginary number, 2i with 8i, we will get 10i. Then our answer will be 9 plus 10i. Let's take another example. If we want to subtract these two numbers, 7 plus 4i minus 12 plus 9i. At first, we are going to multiply the negative sign with 12. It will be negative 12. And multiply the negative sign with 9i. It will be negative 9i. Then we continue writing the equation. Then, now what? We're going to subtract the real number with the real number. It will be 7 minus 12, which is equal negative 5. And 4i minus 9i, which is equal negative 5i. Now we are going to learn how to multiply or divide complex number. At first, we are going to start by multiplying real number with imaginary number. Let's take an example. If we want to multiply 5 multiply 3i, we are going to multiply the coefficient of I with the real number, then with I. Then we will get 5 multiply 3 multiply I. Then it will be 15i. Let's take another example. If we want to divide 8i by 4, at first we are going to divide the coefficient of I by 4. Then we will get 8 divided 4. Then multiply it with I. Then we will get 2i. The second case, we are going to multiply or divide imaginary number with imaginary number. Let's start by multiplying I with I. What we will get? If multiply I with I is the same as multiplying the square root of negative 1 multiply the square root of negative 1, then I squared will equal negative 1. Let's take an example. If we have 5i squared, this means that we can remove I squared and put instead of it negative 1. Then we will get 5 multiply negative 1, which is equal negative 5. Then it is a real number. Then squaring I will get a real number. Another example. If we have 8i squared, we can remove I squared and put instead of it negative 1. Then 8 multiply negative 1 will be negative 8. Another example. Negative 4i squared will equal, we can remove I squared and put negative 1, then negative 4 multiply negative 1 will equal 4. Now dividing I with I. If we're going to divide I with I, it's the same as dividing the square root of negative 1 with the square root of negative 1, which is equal 1. We are going to continue multiplying and dividing imaginary number with imaginary number. Let's have another example. If we want to multiply 3i multiply 4i, what we will do, we will multiply the coefficient of I with the coefficient of I and I with I, and we will get 3 multiply 4 and I multiply I, which is equal 12i squared. We can remove I squared and put instead of it negative 1, then it will be 12 multiply negative 1, which is equal negative 12. Let's have another example. If we have 20i and 1 divided by 4i, we can cancel I with I, then we will get 20 divided 4, which is equal 5. Now we are going to study the multiplication of complex number. If we have two complex numbers like this and want to multiply them, we are going to use a property of multiplication which is called distributive property, which states that each part of the first complex number must be multiplied by each part of the second complex number. For example, A must be multiplied by C, and then A must be multiplied by DI, and then BI must be multiplied by C, and BI must be multiplied by DI. Let's have an example with numbers. If we want to multiply these two numbers, 2i plus 3i multiplied by negative 4 plus 5i. At first we are going to do what? Multiply 2 multiply negative 4, which is equal negative 8. Then we are going to multiply 2 multiply 5i, which is equal 10i. Then we are going to multiply 3i multiply negative 4, which is equal negative 12i. Then we are going to multiply 3i multiply 5i, which is equal 15i squared. We can remove the I squared and put instead of it negative 1, then 15 multiply negative 1, which is equal negative 15. And we can complete writing down the equation. After that, what we will do? We will do adding of real number with real number. It will be adding negative 8 with negative 15, it will be equal negative 23. Then we will going to add imaginary number with imaginary number. It will be 10i negative 12i, which is equal negative 2i. Now we know how to multiply two complex numbers. But if you want to multiply this number a plus bi with a minus bi, this term is called complex conjugate. What will happen if we multiply the complex number by its complex conjugate? We will get a value, we will get the result of real number. Its value is equal to a squared plus b squared. Let's have an example. If we have a complex number 5 plus 2i and we multiply it by its conjugate 5 minus 2i, we are going to multiply 5 with 5, it is equal 25, and 5 with 2i is equal negative 10i. Then 2i multiply 5 is equal 10i, and 2i multiply negative 2i equal negative 4i squared. We can remove I squared and replace it by negative 1, then negative 4 multiply negative 1, it will be equal positive 4. Then we can continue writing the equation. We can cancel negative 10i with 10i. Then we will get 25 plus 4, which is the same we said before, a squared plus b squared. Then the result is equal 29. Let's summarize what we said. If we have a complex number 5 plus 2i and we multiply it by its complex conjugate 5 minus 2i, we will get a squared plus b squared, which is 25 plus 4. Then it is equal 29. Let's have another example. If we have a complex number negative 3 negative 4i and we multiply it by its complex conjugate negative 3 plus 4i, we will get 9 plus 16, which is a squared plus b squared, which is equal 25. Another example, 6 plus I. If multiplied by complex conjugate, we will find that 6 minus I, then a squared, the result will be a squared plus b squared, which is equal 36 plus 1, which is equal 37. Sometimes in the test it gives you a number divided by a complex number and ask you what is the equivalent of this expression. What you are going to do is multiply the complex number with its complex conjugate to get the result in the form of a plus bi. For example, what is the equivalent of the expression 4 divided by 2 plus 5i? We are going to multiply this term by its conjugate, which is 2 minus 5i. We will get 4 multiply 2 minus 5i over 2 plus 5i multiplied by 2 minus 5i. Then we are going to multiply 4, multiply the two term 2 and minus 5, we will get 8 minus 20i. Now we multiply complex number with its conjugate, we'll get the formula a squared plus b squared, which is equal 4 plus 25. Then we can complete solving. It will be 8 minus 20i over 29 equal 8 over 29 minus 20 over 29i. I hope this video helped you. See you in the next video. We are going to complete talking about complex number.